The doorbell echoed through the sprawling $20 million estate in Palo Alto, California, a sound that froze Emily Harper in her tracks. At 42, she stood at the pinnacle of success. A tech mogul who'd built an empire from nothing but grit and a stubborn refusal to be defined by her past. Her Silicon Valley mansion, with its sleek glass walls and manicured gardens, was a testament to her triumph. But that chime wasn't just a doorbell, it was a ghost from a life she thought she'd buried. On the security screen, she saw them, her adoptive family. The ones who'd discarded her like yesterday's news 20 years ago. Now standing at her gate with faces painted in desperation and awe. This wasn't a reunion, this was reckoning. Hit that like and subscribe button. Emily might have said if this were a video. Her voice steady but laced with the fire of someone who'd clawed her way to the top. Because you're about to hear how I faced the family who threw me away, and watched their world crumble when they realized I held all the cards. Emily's story begins in the heart of suburban Denver, in a cozy split-level home with a basketball hoop in the driveway and a Labrador named Max. To the outside world, the Carter family was picture perfect. Her father, Richard, was a structural engineer pulling six figures at a top firm. Her mother, Susan, was a beloved middle school art teacher, known for her vibrant murals and infectious laugh. But behind the charming facade, Emily lived in the shadows of her older siblings, Ethan and Abigail. Ethan, 9 years her senior, was the family's golden son, a star quarterback with a full-ride scholarship to Notre Dame and a smile that could sell toothpaste. Abigail, 6 years older, was the darling daughter, a cheerleader with a voice that won every choir competition and a knack for charming anyone in her orbit. Then there was Emily, the youngest, the afterthought, the child who never quite fit. Her straight-A report cards were met with a dismissive, "That's expected, Emily. Her science fair wins? Not really a big deal." Her father would mutter, eyes glued to Ethan's game highlights. The sting of being invisible cut deepest on her 9th birthday. Emily had spent weeks dreaming of her party, picturing balloons and a chocolate cake with her name in frosting. She'd invited her entire 4th grade class, her heart soaring with anticipation. But that morning, Susan announced a change of plans. "Ethan's got a regional playoff game today," she said, barely looking up from her coffee. "We'll reschedule your party, sweetie." "Reschedule?" Emily's voice cracked. "But my friends are coming in 2 hours." "Don't be selfish," Richard snapped. "Family supports family. Ethan needs us there. Family supports family." Those words became a bitter mantra, one that never seemed to include her. Emily called her friends, choking back tears, to cancel the party. She spent her birthday shivering in the bleachers, watching her parents cheer for Ethan while Abigail giggled with her friends. No one sang, "Happy birthday." No cake materialized. That night, Emily ate cold pizza alone in her room, the silence louder than any celebration. Abigail's cruelty sharpened the pain. As a teenager, she reveled in excluding Emily, locking her out of sleepovers or borrowing her things only to return them broken, if she returned them at all. When Emily dared complain, Abigail would flash her innocent smile and say, "She's just being dramatic, Mom." Susan always believed her. Ethan, meanwhile, was too busy being the family hero to notice his little sister's quiet suffering. He wasn't mean, just absent, lost in his world of trophies and college scouts. The only light in Emily's childhood came from her grandmother, Margaret, Susan's mother. Margaret lived an hour away in Boulder and visited monthly, bringing books and baking supplies. She saw Emily in a way no one else did. "You've got a fire in you, Emily," she'd say, her eyes twinkling as they kneaded dough together. "The world's going to see it someday." Margaret attended Emily's spelling bees, her science fairs, her awkward school plays, always in the front row, clapping like Emily was the star of Broadway. With Margaret, Emily didn't have to beg for love, it was given freely. School was Emily's refuge. Her teachers praised her sharp mind and creative spark. But at home, her achievements were brushed aside. "Book smarts won't get you far without charm," Richard would say, nodding toward Abigail's latest pageant crown. Emily tried to win their approval, joining the debate team, trying out for volleyball, but nothing worked. When she made the varsity team, Richard shrugged. Girls' sports aren't exactly competitive. Emily. By high school, she'd stopped trying to please them. She worked weekends at the local bookstore, squirreling away every penny for college, determined to escape. When acceptance letters arrived from MIT and UC Berkeley, her parents' reaction was tepid at best. "Those schools are pricey," Richard said, his tone hinting at relief that she'd soon be out of their hair. Emily saw it clearly then. She wasn't their daughter, she was their burden. The truth hit like a sledgehammer at 22. After Margaret's sudden death from a stroke, Emily flew back to Denver. Grief-stricken. For the funeral, she sat alone during the service. Her parents and siblings huddled together. A perfect tableau of family mourning that excluded her. At the will reading, Margaret left Emily her emerald necklace, a family heirloom, and $10, with a note, "To my dearest Emily, who shines brighter than she knows." The room went quiet. Then Susan scoffed. $10,000 and an old necklace? That's it? Richard's face reddened. Margaret always played favorites with her. Favorites? Emily's voice trembled. Maybe because she was the only one who ever cared about me. That's when the dam broke. Richard exploded. We took you in when no one else would. Gave you a home, a good education, more than most kids get. Took me in? Emily's heart pounded. What are you talking about? Susan shot Richard a warning glance. But it was too late. You're not our daughter. He spat. You were adopted at 3. After your real mom, Susan's college friend, Karen, died in a wreck. No one else wanted you. So we stepped up. The world tilted. Adopted. For 22 years, Emily had lived a lie. Her sense of not belonging suddenly making horrific sense. Did everyone know but me? She whispered. Pretty much, Abigail said with a shrug. It wasn't a secret. Not a secret to anyone but her. The betrayal was suffocating. Why give the necklace to Emily? Ethan asked the lawyer. It should stay with real family. Real family? Emily's voice broke. The lawyer cleared his throat. Margaret specified that Emily gets the necklace because family is about love, not blood. Richard's anger flared again. That woman always filled your head with nonsense, making you think you were special when we were trying to keep you grounded. Grounded? Emily stood, her voice rising. You mean invisible. You made sure I knew I didn't belong every single day. Susan sighed. We were going to tell you when you were older. But the time never felt right. 22 years wasn't enough time? Emily's hands shook. You let me live a lie. If you can't show gratitude for everything we've done, Richard said, towering over the table, maybe you should leave. No one stopped her. Not Susan. Not Ethan. Not Abigail. Emily grabbed her purse and walked out. The emerald necklace and $10 her only inheritance. She vowed never to look back. With her meager savings, Emily moved to San Francisco, a city buzzing with dreams and ambition. She rented a cramped room in a Mission District apartment, sharing it with 2 strangers, Rachel, a barista with a nose ring, and Mia, a med student who lived on energy drinks. The place was a far cry from her childhood home, leaky faucets, a single bathroom, and a kitchen that smelled faintly of burnt toast. But it was hers, a clean slate. Emily landed an entry-level job as a tech support representative at a startup, answering endless calls from frustrated users. The pay barely covered rent, but she threw herself into it, knowing it was her foothold in the tech world. Nights were spent teaching herself coding and cybersecurity. Hunched over a second-hand laptop in her tiny room, she survived on instant noodles and thrift store clothes, walking miles to save on bus fare. Every sacrifice was a brick in the foundation of her independence. 6 months in, Emily attended a free cybersecurity seminar at a community center. The speaker, Professor Laura Martinez from Stanford, captivated her with talk of digital vulnerabilities. After the session, Emily mustered the courage to ask a question about encryption. Laura's eyes lit up. That's a sharp question, she said. Are you in the industry? Emily shared her story, carefully edited to skip the family drama, and Laura saw something in her. I'm hosting a coding bootcamp next month, she said. You should come. That bootcamp was a turning point. Emily teamed up with strangers to build a tool that exposed a flaw in a popular banking app. They won second place. And more importantly, caught the eye of a venture capitalist named Daniel Cohen. "You've got something unique," he told her after she pitched her idea for a behavior-based security system. "Keep at it." Laura became her mentor, guiding her through the maze of Silicon Valley. Emily poured her $10 into developing a prototype, working 18-hour days in a shared office space that smelled of stale coffee. The emerald necklace stayed on her finger, a reminder of Margaret's faith in her. Rejections piled up. 32 investors passed, citing her lack of experience, but Emily refused to quit. To make ends meet, she took a weekend job waitressing at a trendy tech bar, serving cocktails to the very entrepreneurs she aspired to join. One night, a regular named Alex, a cybersecurity investor, struck up a conversation. Over weeks, he tested her knowledge, probing her ideas. "You're not just talk," he said finally. "Send me your pitch deck." A month later, he invested $250 to fund her prototype. With that lifeline, Emily founded CyberSafe, a company built on her vision of a security system that learned user behavior to prevent breaches. The work was grueling, failed code, sleepless nights, moments of doubt when she wondered if she was chasing a pipe dream. But Margaret's words echoed, "You've got a fire in you." After a year, CyberSafe's prototype was ready. A demo for a group of investors sparked buzz, securing $5 million in funding. Emily hired a small team, moved to a proper office, and never looked back. 3 years later, CyberSafe's first product, a revolutionary authentication platform, hit the market. Tech blogs called it a game changer. Contracts with Fortune 500 companies followed, pushing CyberSafe's valuation past $150 million. Emily, once the invisible child, was now a force in Silicon Valley, her name on the lips of industry giants. But as her star rose, the scars of her past lingered, waiting for the day her family would come knocking. Imagine this. You've just slammed the door on your past. $10 in your pocket and an emerald necklace around your neck as your only lifelines. The world feels vast, unforgiving, but also ripe with possibility. That's where Emily Harper found herself at 22, stepping off a Greyhound bus in the fog-shrouded streets of San Francisco. The city pulsed with innovation, startups brewing in coffee shops, coders hammering away in garages, but for Emily, it was a blank canvas. No family to fall back on, no safety net, just her unyielding determination to prove she was more than the invisible girl they'd made her out to be. Her first months were a grind that would break most people. She crashed in that dingy Mission District apartment. The walls thin enough to hear Rachel's late-night guitar strums and Mia's frantic med school cramming. Emily's days blurred into nights at her tech support desk, fielding calls from irate customers whose computers seemed to have minds of their own. "Restart it again," she'd say calmly, even as her own life felt like it was rebooting from scratch. But she wasn't just surviving, she was scheming. Every evening, she'd dive into online tutorials on Python, firewalls, and neural networks, her fingers flying across the keys until her eyes burned. The emerald necklace dangled like a talisman. Margaret's voice whispering in her mind, "You've got a fire in you." Professor Laura Martinez's mentorship was the spark that ignited it all. After that bootcamp win, Laura didn't just offer advice, she opened doors. "You're not like the others, Emily," Laura said over coffee at a noisy campus cafe. "You see the cracks in systems because you've lived in them." Under Laura's wing, Emily refined her behavior-based security idea, turning it from a sketch on a napkin to a viable prototype. The rejections stung. 32 no's from investors who saw her as too green, too unproven. But then came Alex, the sharp-eyed investor at the bar where she slung drinks on weekends. His $250 wasn't just money, it was validation. "Build it," he said, clinking glasses with her, "and don't look back." CyberSafe exploded from there. The prototype demo was electric. A room full of suits watching Emily's software predict and block hacks in real time, learning user habits like a digital guardian angel. Funding poured in. $5 million. Then $20 million. Emily hired her first team, a ragtag group of brilliant misfits who shared her passion. There was Zoe, the whiz-kid coder with purple hair and a knack for algorithms, Marcus, the finance guru who crunched numbers like they were puzzles, and Lena, the operations powerhouse who kept the chaos organized. They weren't just employees, they were her first chosen family, bonding over late-night pizza sessions and breakthrough code wins. As CyberSafe grew, offices in Austin and New York, contracts with banks and governments, Emily's personal life transformed too. She ditched the cramped apartment for a loft in Soma, then upgraded to a penthouse with bay views. But true luxury came when she splurged on her dream, a $20 million estate in Palo Alto, nestled among the tech titans' homes. This wasn't just a house, it was her fortress. She poured her soul into the design, working with architects to craft spaces that screamed, Emily. The library was a bibliophile's heaven, floor-to-ceiling shelves stocked with thousands of books, from sci-fi classics to cybersecurity tomes, fulfilling the fantasy she'd harbored since sneaking reads under her covers as a kid. The home office gleamed with dual monitors and ergonomic everything, a command center where she orchestrated CyberSafe's empire. But the heart of the place was the garden. Emily hired a top landscape designer to create an oasis of winding paths, blooming roses, and hidden nooks. In one serene corner, she installed a stone bench engraved with, "For Margaret, the light that guided me." Surrounded by lavender and hydrangeas, Margaret's favorites, it became Emily's sanctuary. She'd sit there at dawn, coffee in hand, watching the fog lift over the hills, feeling a quiet peace she'd never known in Denver. The necklace, now set in a custom display case nearby, symbolized not loss, but legacy. Success brought isolation, though. Nights in that sprawling home echoed with emptiness. Emily scrolled social media in weak moments, seeing Susan's posts of family vacations, Ethan's kids splashing in lakes, Abigail's perfect holidays, with captions like, "Blessed with my whole crew." It stung, but it fueled her. If blood doesn't bind, she told herself, I'll forge my own ties. She dove into philanthropy, starting the Margaret Hope Foundation to aid kids in foster care. Drawing from her own scars, she funded scholarships for tech-savvy orphans, mentorship programs pairing them with industry pros. No child should feel invisible, she'd say at galas, her voice steady but passionate. She donated millions, hosting events where young talents pitched ideas, echoing her own bootstrapped start. Her circle grew organically. Laura became more than a mentor, a friend who hosted Sunday brunches with her family, filling Emily's home with laughter and home-cooked empanadas. Alex evolved into a confidant, joining her for hikes in the redwoods where they'd brainstorm CyberSafe's next big move. Zoe, Marcus, and Lena formed her inner sanctum, celebrating wins like the day CyberSafe hit unicorn status with a rooftop party under the stars. They knew bits of her story, the adoption bombshell, the rejection, and never judged. You're our boss, but your family, Zoe once toasted, clinking champagne flutes. Yet, for all her achievements, a void lingered. Emily attended therapy discreetly, unpacking the layers of abandonment. I built this to prove them wrong, she admitted in one session. But what if I'm still chasing their ghosts? The answer came slowly. True worth wasn't in boardrooms or bank accounts, but in the connections she chose. 20 years of silence shattered on a crisp autumn morning in 2025. Emily was in her Palo Alto garden, yoga mat unfurled by Margaret's bench, when her security app buzzed. She glanced at the feed, and her world tilted. There they were. Richard, now 75, his once imposing frame bent with age, Susan, 72, clutching her purse like a shield, Ethan, 51, balding and weary, Abigail, 48, flanked by her teens, a boy of 14 and a girl of 12. They stood at the gate, peering through the iron bars like tourists at a zoo. Emily's pulse raced. Why now? She pressed the intercom, her voice cool as steel. Can I help you, Emily? It's Mom, and Dad. Ethan and Abigail too. We'd like to talk. After 2 decades of ghosting her existence, part of her wanted to deny access, and watch them slink away. But curiosity, and that stubborn flicker of the girl who'd craved their love, won out. She buzzed them in, changing into a simple sweater and jeans. her armor of casual confidence. They filed into the grand foyer, eyes widening at the marble floors. The abstract art worth fortunes. The sweeping views. This place is incredible. Ethan whistled, sinking into a plush sofa. Abigail's kids, Jake and Lily, gawked at the infinity pool outside. Coffee? Emily offered, her hospitality a mask, as she brewed a pot in her gourmet kitchen. Beans she'd sourced from a Colombian farm she'd visited last year. She steadied her breath. This wasn't about forgiveness, it was about closure. Back in the living room, Susan teared up. We've missed you, Emily. Seeing your success in Forbes, we're so proud. Proud. The word twisted like a knife. Now you're proud, Emily said evenly, setting down the tray. After ignoring my graduations, my startup launches, only when I'm on magazine covers. Richard cleared his throat. We didn't know how to reach out after everything. But we're family, and we need help. There it was, the real motive. Richard's engineering firm had tanked in the recession. Ethan was jobless post-divorce. Scraping by on gigs. Abigail's husband had bolted, leaving her drowning in legal fees. $2 million, Richard said, eyes pleading, to reboot the family business. You'd be a partner, shares in CyberSafe too. For the grandkids' future. Emily's laugh was sharp, mirthless. Family? Let me refresh your memory. She pulled out a leather-bound scrapbook and her tablet, flipping to screenshots. Thanksgiving posts from 20 years back. Grateful for our complete clan. Christmas gatherings, weddings, births, all captioned, everyone we love. Emails from Richard demanding she respect our privacy after her one holiday card. A leaked message from Abigail. Saw another article on my sister, the tech whiz. As if money fixes being a weirdo. Their faces paled. We made mistakes. Susan sobbed. We're sorry. Sorry for what? Emily pressed. For the rejection. Or for needing my money now? Silence. Emily stood, gazing at Margaret's bench through the window. I don't need a family that only values me for my wallet. But these kids. She turned to Jake and Lily. They're innocent. I'll set up education trusts for them. College. Whatever they dream. Managed by my team. No access for you. Abigail bristled. We don't need charity. It's not charity. Emily snapped. It's breaking the cycle you perpetuated. She escorted them out, closing the door with finality. Tears came then, not of sorrow, but release. She called Laura. They showed up. I need a friend. Laura arrived with wine and wisdom. You held your ground. That's power. As they talked in the garden, Emily felt the chains snap. No more craving their approval. Her value was intrinsic, forged in fire. In the aftermath, Emily bloomed. The confrontation was cathartic, freeing her from the phantom pursuit of validation. She doubled down on the Margaret Hope Foundation, expanding it with $75 million to include therapy for estranged adults and legal aid for foster kids facing rejection. Family isn't DNA. She'd tell crowds at events. It's who shows up when the world falls apart. Her chosen family solidified. Laura's family became regulars for barbecues. Alex hosted strategy sessions turned poker nights. Zoe organized team retreats in Tahoe, where they'd hike and share stories. Emily joined a support group for family estrangement survivors, finding kinship in shared pain. Blood ties break, one member said, but chosen ones endure. 6 months later, she threw a garden party, not for elites, but for her people. Laura, Alex, her team, foundation kids who'd thrived on her scholarships. Laughter echoed as kids played tag near Margaret's bench, the emerald necklace glinting in the sun. Emily sat there later, alone but not lonely. True family is love in action. She whispered, echoing Margaret. For anyone listening who's felt that sting of rejection, you're worthy. Build your tribe. The most resilient families are the ones we handpick. Bound by choice, not chance. What's your story of rising above? Share below, and stick around. There's more inspiration where this came from.